Welcome back. You're watching Cheche with today's guest, Senate Minority Leader Moses Wetangula, who is also the Bungoma Senator, who is also David Makali, our panelist Senator. Before
he said I'm not his rival.
You're not his rival?
I've taken offense.
So you take offense at that. You should.
Well, I'm not his rival. He's going for presidency.
No,
so I said that extent,
he's not my rival. He's my compliment. He's my younger brother.
He's your younger brother. Well, you faced each other in by-elections.
Yes. And very decently. I mean, he's a very decent young man. Now,
okay. Just a minute. As your senator, coming from Bungoma, what issues would you have to pick with him and his performance as a senator in the county?
Well, first of all...
are you asking as a journalist or as a politician?
No, these are Bungoma matters.
Which are not an issue here. But
they are an issue. You're the senator of Bungoma.
Well, I don't want to dwell on that much, but let me first give him a compliment. I think that in terms of representing the county at the Senate level, I give him, a very high regard for his performance there. However, on the ground, in terms of building, the kind of consensus...
relationships, because you're constantly at war with the governor.
And rallying the county together behind him and the leadership as a senator, I think he scores really poorly. Because what we are seeing is perpetual combat, public spats, which I think people of Bungoma are taking issue with. And I'm sure he's aware of that.
I don't know what David is talking about. As a senator, I have a responsibility, one, to represent, to legislate, to oversight, like all elected leaders are within my context. I represent my county. I participate in getting revenue come to the county. I am constantly in the county talking to people, and people expect when they see things going wrong to look to me as their senator to give them direction. I have constantly heard from people who speak like my younger brother David here, that we sit down and talk. Now tell me, a matter of monstrosity like the Wilbur saga, what is there for me to go and sit and discuss with the governor in a matter as blatantly corrupt as that? Other than to tell the people of Bungoma that your money has been misapplied, that your money has not been put to good use. But let me also say this, David, perhaps you don't know. As the senator for Bungoma, I have invited the governor and all the elected MPs from Bungoma twice in Naivasha. And we have met and discussed the state of the county, where we have been, where we are, where we are going, and proposed several measures that must make things work. As soon as you leave the meeting, business as usual. I'm not saying that corruption is exclusively domiciled in Bungoma. But I'm sure you know, David, if you come from Bungoma and you want to be a politician in Bungoma, and you want to put your head in the sand like a proverbial ostrich, then you are on the wrong path. There is a lot that is happening in our county that is not right. And what you need to do is not to call the wrong doers in a room and sit and tell them, lazima tufunike hii. No, you tell the people that this is happening, and then you call the wrong doors and tell them, what I tell the people is exactly what I can also tell you. Please change your ways. I do that all the time. If you have a child in your house and you see it doing something wrong, and you smack it without telling it why you are smacking it, you are not helping. But if you do not smack and you don't tell, then you are not helping either.
Mutegi, this is a text which I believe captures the essence of your the question you would like to ask. To be sure, let the court give Wetangula a chance, he will make it. And that came from Jacob in Kakamega.
But what is Wetangula himself doing in terms of becoming a president of the Republic of Kenya? If you look at his other colleague, you have seen him yesterday, he appointed people to run his office. The campaign. He's changing office, his consultants, he's working very hard to be president of Kenya. Wetangula is doing nothing except quarreling with the governor.
You see, Mutege again goes at a tangent that is totally unhelpful. The fact that my colleague Raila announced that he has appointed some people to run a campaign outfit for him, and I haven't announced, doesn't mean I don't have. It's a matter of
we are not seeing it.
Operation.
Kenyans are not seeing it.
You do not.
But can Kenyans see that, given that CORD has 3 principles, and there can only ever be 1 president and 1 running mate?
CORD has 3 principles: Raila Odinga, Wetangula, and Steve Kalonzo.
Right.
Each one of us leads a party. ODM has endorsed Raila Odinga as their presidential candidate within CORD. Ford Kenya has endorsed Weta as their presidential candidate within CORD. So has Wiper. That puts the 3 of us at the same level. Whatever I am doing towards the presidency, whatever Raila is doing towards the president and Kalonzo is complementary. At the end of the day, they will confluence. But what is important is we have a mechanism of how we are going to arrive at a candidate. I believe I will be the one. And I'm sure Raila believes he will be the one. I'm sure Kalonzo believes he will be the one. But that mechanism is our secret weapon. We are not going to go to Kikomba Market and say this is how we are going to arrive at a candidate. What we must do, and we are doing, is to remain united, to continue galvanizing our primary constituencies, to continue galvanizing Kenyans to see our view about what the country should be, and to continue encouraging the country to embrace a process.
But what? Okay, what is?
You can't ask a question and restrain me from answering.
Answer.
Yes.
You've answered the question, Mutegi. Go ahead.
But what I want to ask him is this: what are you offering in terms of numbers? When you look at Western region, you have many parties there. You have Ford is split in 2. Then you have CORD. Then you have KANU. What are you offering in terms of numbers?
You know, Mutegi, you have been a very good political analyst. Look at Central Kenya, as I answer you with an example. Central Kenya had President Uhuru Kenyatta as a candidate with a party. My sister Mother Karua as a candidate with a party. Paul Mwite as a candidate with a party. So was Peter Kenneth. He didn't restrain the people of Central from being attracted to one candidate and supporting. So Western Kenya is not indifferent. We have Musalia Mudavadi there, we have Weta there, we have Cyrus Jirongo, and any others that may pop out. The people of the Luya Nation, if they are the primary constituents that I look at before I engage my colleagues and the communities in the country, know exactly who carries their aspirations, and they know who to follow. The people of the Luya Nation have stood together before. If you remember the election of 2002, we were led by Wamala Kijana to vote for NAC as a bloc. Out of all the constituencies of Western, only Nambale of Chris Okemo veered off to Kano. Everybody else was elected on NAC, and within LDP and within Ford Kenya. In fact, this fallacious argument that Luyas cannot be united is perpetrated by either lack of knowledge of the Luya Nation, or let me not use a very strong term, or spirited efforts to make us look disunited and therefore look unattractive to the nation. I can assure you that we know ourselves as a nation, within a nation, and we know ourselves that we can do better.
In terms of registration of voters, and that can't, which is the key to elections.
Yes.
I haven't heard you say much about that.
Then you don't live in this country.
Right. Let's go back to the issue.
I have been doing this regularly. I've even spent the resources to make sure that this is done. I think Makali from the region can tell you some of the things I've done, but they're not for this forum. Let's
go back to the issue, though, of presidential ambitions, because all 3 principals want a run.
And rightly so.
And rightly so.
Yes.
So when you say that you have this secret weapon, your mechanism on selecting candidates, and we know how that has played out in the past, shall we expect that come next year, this time next year, that CORD as we know it today will still be intact?
What has played out in the past would work, and I believe you are probably thinking up to the level of the inability for Ford to hold together, the inability for formations that were opposing the establishment to hold together. Since the last elections, Everybody in the political, analytical area like yourselves expected the three of us each to go our way. We haven't. We've continued working together. In the last elections, we had a pre-arranged agreement that Raila be the presidential candidate, Kalonzo the running mate, and I was going to be the majority leader. The event we had the majority. We agreed to that. That was that election. We're going to the next election. So we cannot say that given what happened, because we're going to a completely new scenario, and that we are still firmly together and comfortably together is something to celebrate within our ranks, and is something that can indicate that if it is me, I see no difficulty in Raila and Kalonzo standing behind me, and vice versa. And that's how we are going to hold our coalition together and give Kenya the aspirations. I strongly believe that I stand a much better chance than probably my two brothers, and I'm sure they also think the same. And that is what politics is all about.
Okay. Very quickly, before we go, some questions from our viewers. Wetangula, you're completely lying. Corruption has always existed. Please don't assume like it started when the president got elected. Can't wait till 2017. We will see how irrelevant you are. Keep waiting for your own NYS moment to come up. That came from Jeff. But there's this question from Paul, an MCA in Gishugu. Could Wetangula come clean on this forum about the Turkana oil fields? Word has it that he acquired and later sold exorbitantly. And this is, yeah, that was...
that lie has been perpetuated and perpetrated by people out of ignorance, spite and malice. I said it and I want to say it again. I am associated with a law firm called Wetangula, Adan and Makoha Advocates. A group of Europeans came to Kenya and sought legal services from Adan, who was my partner. I retired from the law firm. Adan acted for them to register a company. When this matter popped out, I went to the office and looked at the file. He registered, incorporated the company for them, and they paid him $2,000 US, which in today's terms would be 200,000. After incorporating the company, they picked their file and went and engaged a firm of lawyers called Daly and Figgis as their lawyers. That ended there. So if that gentleman or lady wants an answer, the answer is no. The matter is false, it's malicious, and is meant to besmirch me. Remember that Turkana is not only a code county, it's a Ford Kenya county. My national chairman, John Munyes of my party, is a senator for Turkana. I have MPs elected there. The majority leader in the Turkana County Assembly is Ford Kenya. I have absolutely nothing to do with the Turkana. I'm not a dealer in oil, in gas, in anything of the sort at all. And as we go to the oil economy, and when I become the president, I want to be one of the most prudent managers of any oil economy anywhere in the world. We will not have the Nigerian style. We will not have the Angolan style. We will not have the styles that you see. We will have a country where I will create a sovereign fund, like Norway, that will have caveats of access, that will build this country into a first world country.
How come this
in a very near future
are not being pushed to the current administration? I mean, the country is moving together. Aren't you in a position to share these ideas with the government?
Do they listen?
The sovereign fund and all these things.
Do they
say
listen?
The opposition is bankrupt of ideas. These ideas are not important.
Listen? They are busy cutting deals, David. They are not interested in listening to anybody. How many times has CORD invited Jubilee? That there are certain issues in this country that are partisan. There are other issues that are of such a national importance that sitting together and talking together will help the country. We have said so many times. And we don't want to follow ourselves into a trap and a scenario. I won't say the details, but in what Kiraito said, or being already too willing. We want to be we want to be leaders, and leaders with respect. We have repeatedly asked the Jubilee regime, can we sit down and talk about certain issues that are neither Jubilee nor CORD but are Kenyan? They don't want that.
The referendum.
Instead, they say we are making noise.
The referendum.
Instead, they say all manner of things.
The referendum.
The referendum.
Speaking as a CORD principal,
yes.
and as a lawyer who knows the legal processes towards a referendum,
yes.
are we still? Is that still achievable, or have you changed tact?
It is achievable. The idea is still intact. The process is still ongoing, albeit slow. But
you've lost momentum.
Not necessarily. You know, the momentum was to galvanize the country to appreciate that there's going to be a referendum. Once you go through that, then the rest is collect signatures. Once you collect signatures, before you throw them at IEBC to start the process, which is defined in law, you must verify whether you collected genuine signatures or not. We have an arsenal of young people, over 200, sitting at the Okoa Kenya headquarters, verifying these signatures to see whether Mutegi Njau is in fact a registered voter from where he alleges he is and is in the voter's roll, or we will send his name to the IEBC, and when they key in the computer they find it's a hoax. So they're doing that. Once they finish that, then we'll start the process. But we also know that time is ticking. We have 20 months to the next elections, and the IEBC will determine the time within which to hold the referendum once we give them the documents. Because once we take them the documents, then the process is with them and not with us. And we are in the process of doing that. It is not talked about as much as it was at the time we started, I agree. It doesn't mean it is not ongoing.
Yeah, but looking at the time frames, and I think some of them were put out here at some point with the experts, it takes about 16 months to conduct a referendum. We are 18 months to the next election. How is that likely to happen?
The IEBC themselves told us that they require an average of 6 to 9 months to hold a referendum. When we finish the process and we give to them, we'll hear what they tell us.
The 16 months in question that David is talking about, I think that came from the origination of the referendum idea, the collection of signatures, the verification.
Which
so the timeline, right?
Exactly.
And so that has eaten into the time. But we're winding up now. And so the question, we've talked about, we've dealt quite a bit on Senator Wetangula's political future, both because of the electoral offences, but also because of the dynamics within CORD. So my question to the panelists is twofold. Do you see a President Wetangula emerging, and do you see an intact CORD going into 2017 elections?
I can see an intact CORD, but not a presidential candidate called Wetangula. Don't see.
Why not?
He's far behind the others. Maybe number 2, not number 3. Maybe.
Running mate.
Yeah.
Running mate.
Yeah.
David. And you have an interest in this question, don't you?
I'm in a very uncomfortable position today.
Yes.
Right.
The truth is that I still, unfortunately, my senator has not convinced me that the road is clear. And I really,
for himself or for yourself?
For him. I mean, this is not about me. My time is elsewhere, and his is elsewhere, and his vision and what he's going for are totally different things. But looking at where he has proclaimed he wants to go, and the road, the word here to go home with is consider. I think that is the only hope he has. But I think it's very slippery road. As to whether, you know, I don't want to be the prophet of doom for I'll be most ungenerous to be, but being practical with the circumstances and my understanding of the law and the Supreme Court's findings, I think that he needs to be a little more pragmatic about what he faces, in my view. But as to whether CORD will be together or not, I think the next elections are going to see a lot of realignments by the time we get there. It could or could not be together.
Okay. So
one day in politics, so said Jawaharlal Nehru, it's a long, long time. So we are faced with very many one days in politics. But I can tell you that I have absolute clarity of mind, and I want to remind David But I am a lawyer of very long experience and standing, and I do not say things that are not properly considered. You should not engage in any worries of me and about me. Like Jesus said, look at the birds of the air. They have no granaries, they have no kitchens, they have no sufurias.
They're eating every day.
But they are eating every day and singing and dancing 24 hours. So worry not about me, my brother. I am very safe politically, and my future is very clear. The path on which we walk in politics is never paved. You pave it.
So the specific question,
Yes.
will we see a President Wetangula come 2017? Will CORD be intact?
So.
And CORD will be intact.
And I don't want to keep repeating the obvious. CORD was, is, and will remain intact. But the dynamics of politics, like I've said, is you never say never. You never know tomorrow. CORD will be boosted by by Ruto bolting from Jubilee and joining us, and he's welcome. We are told that wako kondoa mateso, and our doors are open for everybody and anybody who wants to be part of this big movement to save our country. We are not driven by selfish interests. We are not driven by me, myself, and I. We are driven by the desire and the need
to make
this country different.
You would welcome the Deputy President if he defected. You wouldn't mind.
We'll welcome anybody.
But you are
anybody.
But you are now criticizing government where he is.
Yes. He'll come and
is the soul becoming poor?
There you go. Why did soul become poor?
No, but
by saying the light. I'm not saying it with a light touch. Let me not engage into abstracts. I said if Ruto defected, and this is
but
right
you mentioned
to do
a specific name.
Yes,
so it wasn't abstract.
If he defected and joined us, we welcome him. Anybody, even our harshest critics. Politics does not have permanent.
So you stand for nothing then?
I don't stand for nothing. When you have good ideas, even when convoluted characters join you, you reform them. Jesus said he didn't come for the pious. He came for the sinners. And it was his duty to change sinners into good people. And that's the crusade on which we are. There's nobody born evil. There's nobody born corrupt. People are convoluted by circumstances. When they come into the courthouse and find that we have zero tolerance to corruption and land grabbing, they will stop it. And
that you're the moral authority and moral arbiters of this country.
Absolutely, and they'll change and be good people.
You didn't notice my tongue was in my cheek.
I know. But,
our time is up,
yes.
And we will thank you for your time on Cheche, Senate Minority Leader Moses Wetangula. Our thanks also to our panelists, Mutegi Njau and David Makali. Thank you for listening and engaging with us. This has been Cheche on Citizen TV. My name is Urwa Kamimo. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.